Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. In this video we are going to be forging a blank that I sell over at my website, blacksmithpdfs.com. You can find a link to that in the description down below. And then I will also have Jessica at some point add a little card that you can click on. That's a direct link to take you over to our website if you have any interest in purchasing one of these blanks from us. So let's get right into the video. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the blank that we're going to be forging today is the spatula, the hook tail spatula blank. That's what we'll be working on today, and this is an entire kit. Obviously, you can buy just the spatula blanks themselves over at our website, blacksmithpdfs.com, or you can get it as an entire kit. If you buy it as an entire kit, not only do you get this spatula blank itself, you get 2 rivets that come with it, and then you also get the hook tail portion of this kit. Now there's also the classic panhandle style that we offer, or classic style, where it's got a teardrop in the end. You can get that alternately to this, mix and match your kits kind of however you want. So the first step in this forging process, we're going to work on the handle first and foremost, and then we'll go on to the actual spatula body itself, and then finally to the assembly work. So let's get this thing hot and get to forging. Okay, so the first stage in this forging process, I like to hammer on the edges first. So I like to forge these edges down first and foremost. That's my very first thing I like to do. So we're going to hammer on that. This also helps stretch this piece out a little longer than what it comes to you in the kit. I'm going to straighten it up a little bit. Again, straighten it up. Now I'm also allowing it to cup up. Usually you would forge that out of it, but I actually want it to cup in the long run. So instead of having to do that in a separate step and a separate heat, I'm just going to let it kind of form up however it will there. There we go. Main key here is just make sure everything's straight and we don't get any awkward twisting. Now you don't have to allow your piece to cup like I'm doing here. I have found that I personally, and the customers that I have sold skillets and ladles and things like that to in the past through my regular website, Christ Center Ironworks, I have found that they like the feeling of a more rounded handle in their hands than they do just a plain flat handle. So it's worth giving it that extra little bit of dimension if you can, and helping them out with, helping a customer with something that they're actually into and what they're looking for. So again, it doesn't take long. You just let the piece do what it's supposed to do. It'll just cup up. As long as you're hammering on it, it'll go ahead and cup itself. And it really isn't a huge deal to get that cup started forming in there and allowing it to be what it's going to be. All right. So now we're just in the kind of the straightening up stage of this, getting it straight and in line in the way we're looking for it to be. Now, in other videos that I have done, I've done ball peen texture on this. Again, you can do whatever you like. For this particular handle style, I'm just going to do a plain look like this. Again, do whatever kind of tickles your fancy on that, but I'm going to do just a basic plain hammer texture like what you see here. You can cross peen this. You could do a lot of different things to this. You could chase lines into it. You name it. Sky is the limit. So now that we've got this done here, this forging done, now we're going to actually roll up our little hook end on the end. You do, however, want to make sure that you have all of this forged before you do the hook on the end, because you don't want that hook to be moving around and getting distorted and eventually possibly breaking off and falling on the floor. while you're working on the rest of the heavy forging here. So we'll get that hot and we'll do the hook. Now with our hook in really nice and hot, we're going to roll that over and roll it back onto itself just like a little rat's tail hook, like you would do any little S hook that you might make. Make sure that's nice and square in the center. And now we will just roll that hook back this way until we get a nice little hook on the end to hang this from. Now, this isn't a very large hook, and it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be a very large hook. This is literally just meant to hook over a rack, like a pan rack of some kind. So it doesn't have to be a ginormous hook on the end. Of course, you could forge that hook out a little longer if you would like, and work with it that way. That is always a complete possibility. So we've got that done now. So now we need to move on to doing the spatula part. Okie doke, for the spatula we're going to heat up the blade end, or the end that's going to be scooping the food, and we're going to forge a bevel on this. This bevel is going to be maybe 1/4 inch or maybe 6 mil long of a bevel right on the edge here, and as soon as it gets thin enough we're going to go right to the edge of the anvil. This way we can thin that edge down even more. And you're going to see that it spreads a little bit, or kind of dog ears. We're going to dress those out. And again, you can come back down and redress this bevel. Now, I've said in a previous spatula making video, if you don't feel comfortable with forging out this bevel, you can always grind it. You can grind this bevel into this piece. So this step is completely optional for forging. I personally like forging the bevel in. I feel like it makes a little nicer, just makes a little nicer edge, in my opinion. Something that I like to see. I like to see it just kind of look more natural. You know, like it's been forged. That whole thing. Okay, so now that that edge bevel is in, now on for the tough part of this whole thing. Getting this square. So what we need to do, grab Thing Adams here. What we need to do is, if you draw a line, an imaginary line, from here to here where these flats are, you're going to come down maybe 1/4 inch at max, but right on that line you want to bend this. We're going to bend this at, you know, say, oh, I don't know, it needs to be up off the surface at least 20 to 30 degrees. It needs to just come up like this. You don't really want to direct 45, that's just too much. You really want to do maybe 20 degrees like this. You want to have a 20-degree angle off the surface of your anvil. That seems to be pretty comfortable. So we'll get this end hot and we'll be over at the vise. Okay, so here we go. It's nice and hot. We're going to line our edge up here the best we can to make sure this comes out as square as possible. And then we're just going to hit that on over. Now you are going to want to make sure that you forge this to just over 90. Because that's going to be important in this next step once we go to the anvil. So there we go. We've got this piece forged to just over 90. Alrighty, so here we go. We're going to go to the near edge of the anvil and drop our tongs down here. And now we're going to forge in that nice hard 90. That preset up there of forging over 90 helps you get a nice sharp outside corner on this spatula piece. And we'll come in here, take out any sort of bend. Take out any sort of bend in here that it may have had. There we go. Again, keep crisping that edge up. You can go over to the other side if you need to crisp that side up a bit more. And there we have it. Now what you're going to see is that this is still too much of an angle. It's too much of an angle because once we put our spatula on here, it's going to be coming up crazy like that. So unless that's something you want, we're going to have to set this up on the anvil like you see it here. And then we're going to have to hit it right in here to straighten it out. It's going to want to bend all over on the places for you. But we're going to take that bend back out where we don't need it and keep it where we do, which is in the top portion of this piece. There you go. So we're getting that a lot more like it should be, just like so. So there you go. So now all we need to do is we need to do the assembly work. So let's go over to the drill press now and drill this handle and start getting it fit up for the rivets. Okay, so I've got the holes drilled for the handle here. I have clamped it with a visa grip, and I am ready to go ahead and drill through one hole. I'm going to get this hole drilled through. I will put a rivet in that hole and rivet it down tight. I'll take the clamp off, come back, drill this one, and then rivet that one down tight. Okay, so we've got our second hole drilled. We'll put the domed head in through this side first and foremost. We're going to set it down on the edge of the anvil. Keep it off the edge, so we're just balancing on this rivet here. And we're going to rivet that straight down. Make sure we snug up both. That way they're both nice and snug. And there you go. That thing is unsinkable. Kind of like the Titanic, huh? This thing is bulletproof. It really should not. It won't ever come off in your lifetime or your customer's lifetime. If you're making it for a customer or yourself, especially if you've done a good solid job on your rivet work there. So there you go. So now for the finish work, what should we do about the finish on this? What I like to tell everyone to do, and this is the method I like to do, is I season this just like cast iron. That's my preferred finish for these. You can leave them raw if you would like. That means no finish at all. Obviously, you'll have to watch it because it might want to rust, so you might have to clean it up from time to time. If you do season it like a cast iron finish, the easiest way to do that is take your food safe grade of oil, whatever food grade oil that you have that's food safe, rub it on, whatever that one is of your choice, rub it on this piece, and then put this whole thing in the oven at about 500 degrees to season the whole thing. Once it starts to kind of smoke off, pull the thing out, you know, assuming it's on a baking sheet or something, pull it out, let it cool down, and the thing is seasoned. So pretty simple process there for that. Now, other things to consider is if you, here I've done a pretty good job of rounding this, so with hammer marks, but if you need to, if you feel any rough edges, go ahead and take them off with a bit of emery cloth or sandpaper. Take off any really sharp edges or any burrs that you may have to clean that up there for yourself or for your client. So there you have it. That is a hooktail spatula kit, all forged together. Again, you can find this kit or just the spatula itself, along with a lot of other kits, skillets, and you name it, all sorts of blanks over at our website, blacksmithpdfs.com. I invite you to go check that out. The link for that will be down in the description and probably somewhere up in a card here. And without further ado, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.